the Mueller report. George Conway, husband of top White House aide Kellyanne Conway, writing a piece for the Washington Post titled this: Trump is a cancer on the presidency. Congress should remove him. In it, he says this: the facts in Mueller's report condemn Trump even more than the report's refusal to clear him of a crime. This is the latest example of a division in the Conway household. Here's what Kellyanne told Maria just last month.
My husband also has been very critical of the president publicly, which is unlike him, just because he's traditionally been a very private person.
What does your husband say when you say, George, let's leave this private and not go on Twitter?
You can ask George that, but I certainly have had those conversations. I'm not being asked to choose between my marriage and my job. Donald Trump has never made, the president has never made me feel that way, Maria.
I want to get Anthony Scaramucci's reaction to this, because this is not a tweet. This is an editorial that goes into what he thinks, particularly on the obstruction of justice section, the volume 2 of the Mueller report. And then he ends it by saying, White House counsel John Dean famously told Nixon that there was a cancer within the presidency and that it was growing. What the Mueller report disturbingly shows with crystal clarity is that today there is a cancer in the presidency, President Donald J. Trump. How do you rationalize this?
Well,
I mean, how do you explain this? This is bananas.
Listen, I like George. I've met him a few times. Obviously, Kellyanne and I have a pretty close relationship. I think the one issue that I'm confused by is what Kellyanne just said. Let's interview George. I would love to get him on the air and say, what's up and what's the pillow talk between the two of you that's got you this riled up? Is there something that the American people need to know that you're not fully expressing here? Yes, you're giving us your opinion, but what is underlying this, and what is the basis for all this? I think it's a fascinating thing that you have one person inside the White House supporting the president, and the other person calling for the impeachment in the same. And that may be emblematic of America in some ways, you know, like people's dinner tables and Hollywood, holiday parties.
Well, I want to ask you this. So, again, the focus, I think Mary Catherine Ham, God bless her, said, I hope you got in a good leg day because you're moving the goalposts here. Mm-hmm. Now it's about obstruction of justice. Right. What's the path? There's no kill shot in this. There was no conspiracy with the Trump campaign and the Russians. Boom, done. Put away volume 1. Volume 2. So what's their plan then?
Well, they're going to try to impugn the president's character, and they're going to try to say that the people surrounding him, there was some nefarious activity, and they're going to say that the president wanted to obstruct justice, but for people like Don McCann, it didn't happen, and so therefore he's unfit to serve as president, and let's remove him from office. It is a preposterous point of view, and so I think they're making a tactical mistake. And by the way, Speaker Pelosi has said weeks ago she does not want to go in the direction of impeachment because she knows that this will be a disaster for them, and it will likely lead to a rise in the president's approval ratings.
Even Adam Schiff said yesterday, and this is a partial quote of something he said in an interview, a failed impeachment is not in the national interest, and you need a 2/3 majority in the Senate, correct, to move on impeachment, and that's why the impeachment proceedings failed against Bill Clinton.
I'm a money manager, so we're always using probability statistics, and nothing is ever certain. But I think you could pretty much put it in the bank that if they move to impeach and they do get the votes in the House, I'm not even saying they're going to get all the votes. There's no way they're going to get 2/3 of the Senate. Well, so I have that at a very low probability.
So, Andy, I just want to point out Andy McCarthy, who has been so right and so spot on, former prosecutor, worked in the Justice Department for years and years. And he wrote, and right after the Mueller report was released, wrote an editorial that was in the New York Post. And he talked about there were numerous witnesses made available, a million documents disclosed to the Mueller team. The witnesses made available voluntarily, even Don McCann, the White House counsel. And more importantly, the president's frustration wasn't over fear of guilt, the typical motivation for obstruction, but that the investigation was undermining his ability to govern the country. The existence of such a motive is a strong counter to evidence of corrupt intent. Critical because corrupt intent must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt in an obstruction case. He goes on that Bob Mueller made no decision, leaving it to Attorney General Bill Barr, that there was no obstruction. The constitutional right of every American to force the government to prove a crime has been committed, rather than to have to prove his or her own innocence. And he says that this flouts the Constitution, what Bob Mueller did. He should have had the courage of his convictions and recommended charging the president. Since he wasn't convinced that there was enough evidence to charge, he should have said he wasn't recommending charges, period.
So there's a danger in everything you just said, because we've become so politicized now that the rule of law, and to your point about the goalposts, are moving. And so what you need in a country like ours...
That was Mary Catherine Ham's
Yeah, but
line,
what you need in a country like ours is an unwavering rule of law. Okay, that was the conversation we were having at the break. Rod Rosenstein, who I know for 33 years, last Easter, the Thursday before Easter, he met with the president in the Oval Office, and the president and I talked on Easter Sunday, and he said, you know what, I think you may be right on Rod Rosenstein. I said, Mr. President, I know this guy for 33 years. He's as straight as an arrow. You didn't do anything wrong, and trust me, when this thing is over, you're going to be basically exonerated, which is effectively what happened despite the cabal from the left.
Right, and if we could just quickly go back to the George Conway op-ed, no one would be publishing this George Conway op-ed if it wasn't an opportunity for the media, I really believe, to exploit the divide in that household. We didn't hear from him before President Trump won, and I really take issue with how comfortable they are sort of flouting whatever's going on inside the Conway household. I find that very... You know, marriages are private, and whatever George's reasoning is for publishing this, they are all too happy.
But this is the question I have for George. This is an open question for George. You're publishing this stuff. You're tweeting about it. So why don't you come on and let's flesh it out and let's explain? Is there something that you know that we need to know? Because right now it sort of seems nonsensical what you're doing.
It reflects the divide that is in Congress, is in politics, and is in media right now. And I think the American population really has become frustrated with this, and they want Congress to do their jobs, focus on policy, focus on running this country and keeping it in the economic powerhouse that it really is.